a young American student travels to Italy, chasing her dream of adventure, love, and freedom. She expects pasta-filled nights, charming cobblestone streets, and the kind of once-in-a-lifetime memories that make you envy every Instagram post. But instead of romance and culture, she walks straight into a nightmare that shocks the entire world. This is the story of Amanda Knox, a girl whose name became headline news, not for her studies, not for her travels, but for a murder mystery that spiraled into one of the most controversial cases in modern history. A British roommate found brutally slain, suspicious evidence, and a media circus that painted Amanda as everything from a naive student to a cold-blooded killer. For years, the world couldn't look away. Was she a manipulative femme fatale, nicknamed Foxy Knoxy, or just a victim of a broken justice system and sensationalist tabloids? The courtroom turned into a stage, the press turned her into a villain, and millions of people across the globe picked sides. So buckle up, because today on Celebriot, we're diving into a case filled with love, lies, betrayal, and the deadly cost of perception, the Amanda Knox saga. Before her name was splashed across international headlines, Amanda Knox was just an ordinary girl from Seattle with extraordinary dreams. Born on July 9, 1987, Amanda grew up in a middle-class household in West Seattle, surrounded by the kind of stability most kids hope for even after her parents divorced. Her mom, dad, and later her stepfather still managed to provide her with love and support. To friends and neighbors, Amanda was that quirky, energetic kid who never quite blended into the background. She was athletic, fun-loving, and adored soccer. Her teammates even gave her a cheeky nickname, Foxy Knoxy, because of her clever footwork on the field. At the time, it was an innocent, playful moniker, but years later, tabloids would twist it into something far darker. Academically, Amanda was no slouch. She attended a rigorous prep school where she performed in school plays, often breaking into spontaneous song in the hallways. Friends recalled her as smart yet a little scatterbrained, someone who could ace an exam one moment and act completely oblivious the next. "She's not crazy, she's not stupid, but sometimes she doesn't live in reality," one classmate once said. Despite her ditzy, bubbly demeanor, Amanda was actually quite ambitious. She made the dean's list at the University of Washington while majoring in linguistics and studying Italian, German, and creative writing. She loved immersing herself in languages and stories, and her heart longed for adventure far beyond Seattle's rainy skies. That wanderlust was sparked at just 15 years old, during a family trip to Italy. The art, the history, the charm of the culture, it left her completely enchanted. From then on, Amanda was determined to live abroad, even if her stepfather worried she wasn't quite ready. But Amanda wasn't someone who let fear get in the way. She worked part-time jobs to save money for her big dream. A year in Italy, surrounded by locals, perfecting her Italian, and creating a life that was entirely her own. By 2007, at only 20 years old, Amanda was ready to spread her wings. She skipped the tourist-heavy cities like Rome and Florence, choosing instead the quaint university town of Perugia, a hillside city buzzing with students, culture, and nightlife. She didn't just want to study Italian, she wanted to live it. And for Amanda, this felt like the perfect place to start her next chapter. But little did she know, that decision would catapult her into a whirlwind of media scandals, police investigations, and a fight for her life that no college student could ever be prepared for. Before she became the center of a heartbreaking international case, Meredith Kircher, affectionately known as Mez, was a bright, compassionate young woman with her whole life ahead of her. Born on December 28, 1985, in South London, Meredith was raised in a close-knit family who adored her. From a young age, she stood out not just for her intelligence, but for her warmth and humor. She was the kind of person who could light up a room without even trying. Meredith's curiosity about the world led her to languages and culture early on. While attending the Old Palace School in Croydon, she discovered her love for Italy during an exchange program. That summer in Tuscany at just 15 years old planted a seed that never left her. Much like Amanda, Meredith dreamed of one day living in Italy, and she worked tirelessly to make that dream a reality. By the time she entered the University of Leeds, Meredith was determined to carve out a future that combined her two passions, European politics and the Italian language. She was ambitious, hoping to either work for the European Union or pursue a career in journalism. But she wasn't just book smart. Meredith also took on part-time jobs as a tour guide, a barmaid, and even appeared briefly in a 2004 music video. She wanted to earn her way, And she did it all with the same grace and charm that her friends adored. In October 2007, Meredith finally made her move to Italy to attend the University of Perugia, where she would take classes in history, cinema, and politics. To her, it was the ultimate adventure, studying abroad, building lifelong friendships, and living the independent life she'd always envisioned. When Meredith settled into the cottage at Via della Pergola, she shared it with 3 other women, 2 Italian law students, and, of course, Amanda Knox. At first glance, they seemed like unlikely roommates. Meredith, polished and focused, Amanda, quirky and carefree, but the 2 young women found common ground. They cooked meals together in their shared kitchen, laughed while exploring Perugia's famous Euro Chocolate Festival, and built a comfortable roommate relationship. Meredith quickly became well-liked in Perugia. She was witty, funny, and approachable, with a tight-knit group of British friends who often spent time with her. Unlike Amanda, who threw herself into Italian culture, Meredith balanced her studies with maintaining those familiar friendships. She had even started dating a young Italian man who lived downstairs, showing just how easily she fit into her new life. Her friends described her as someone who was reliable, compassionate, and deeply grounded. She wasn't naive, she was cautious, thoughtful, and always had her goals in sight. But behind her ambition, she was also just a 21-year-old girl enjoying her youth, traveling and building memories in a city that seemed like the perfect backdrop for her future. No one could have predicted that within weeks of arriving, Meredith's story would be cut short in the most tragic and violent way imaginable. What began as a dream year in Italy for both Meredith and Amanda would soon collide, unraveling into a nightmare that neither of them or their families could have ever foreseen. When Amanda Knox landed in Perugia in September 2007, it felt like she had finally stepped into the life she'd always dreamed of. The medieval hilltop city was buzzing with students, cafe culture, and cobblestone streets that looked like something straight out of a postcard. For Amanda, it wasn't just about studying Italian, it was about reinventing herself, tasting independence for the first time, and fully immersing in La Dolce Vita. She enrolled at the University for Foreigners, balancing her classes with part-time work. Soon she found a job bartending at a local spot called Le Chic, owned by Patrick Lumumba. To Amanda, it was the perfect mix: learning, earning, and socializing. She wasn't content sticking to just her fellow American students. She wanted the full Italian experience. While Meredith leaned on her British circle, Amanda threw herself into local friendships and late-night hangouts. Amanda's free-spirited nature made her a social butterfly. She was quick to strike up conversations, meet new people, and embrace Perugia's lively nightlife. She'd occasionally cross paths with Rudy Guidi, a young man from the Ivory Coast who floated around the student scene, but at that time, he barely registered as significant in her life. What mattered more was the energy of the city, the music festivals, the parties, and the sense of belonging she craved. But one encounter in late October would change everything for Amanda. At a classical music concert, she met Raffaele Solicito, a shy, 23-year-old computer science student. The connection was instant and intense. Within days, Amanda and Raffaele became inseparable, spending almost every night together. He was kind, gentle, and reserved, the complete opposite of Amanda's bubbly, impulsive personality, and maybe that's why it worked. To Raphael, Amanda was only his second girlfriend ever, but he fell for her quickly and deeply. Amanda's days in Perugia soon fell into a rhythm that blended responsibility with indulgence. Mornings meant classes and Italian grammar, afternoons brought bartending shifts or casual studying. Evenings were spent with Raffaele, enjoying dinners, smoking a little weed, and watching movies. She was candid about her lifestyle, yes. She smoked pot, yes. She was open about her sexuality, and yes, she lived like a carefree 20-year-old far from home. In her own words, marijuana was as common in her apartment as pasta. To outsiders, Amanda seemed like any adventurous college student, young, naive, and living without too many worries. To her, this was freedom, no parents, no curfews, no limits. She was exactly where she wanted to be. But that perfect balance was fragile, because beneath the laughter, love affairs, and carefree student life, a storm was brewing. A storm that would take Amanda from being that quirky American girl in Perugia to a household name across the globe.